live from the heart of the Blue Ridge, Roanoke, Virginia. It's the Just Bernard Show with host Bernard Alvarez. Join Bernard as he shares topics that reveal the real matrix and empower your human experience, including world liberty, the esoteric, suppressed technologies, spiritual ascension, and human consciousness. Humanity has awakened, and our time has come to realize our full potential. And now, live from the Star City, your host, Bernard Alvarez.
Well, hello everybody, and welcome to the Just Bernard Show here on my Facebook channel and my YouTube channel. I want to thank you for joining me today. You might be noticing this funky background I got back here. I decided to do blue screen today. I wanted to kind of hide the Christmas decorations as I want this to not be a seasonal video. So we decided, and I'm playing with the new technology. As you know, I mentioned last week that well, the week before I wasn't going to be doing a show last week because I did get a new computer, got some software upgrades, and I haven't quite tweaked the settings, so forgive the sparkliness of this video. I hope the sound is okay, by the way. This is the first live show I am doing on my new rig. I'm pretty happy with it. I'm not too thrilled with the audio card that comes with it, and it's giving me a pain in the butt, but I'll deal with it, and I'm sure I'll upgrade it and it'll be just fine. So anyway, without further ado, let's jump right into today's talk. I decided to talk about the art of spellcasting today because you guys are always writing me about spells and how do I do a spell for this or how do I do a spell for that. And it seems to be the one thing that people feel, I don't know, is the first thing you do when you're into magic or paganism or witchcraft or magic, shamanism, whatever it is, whatever word you like to use. Spells seem to be one of the most popular topics of discussion. So I don't believe I've ever done anything like on actual casting spells. Maybe we've covered some things, but today I am going to be sharing with you some of the fundamentals of spell casting. When to do it, how to do it, why to do it, when not to do it, as well as, if we have time, I'm going to share with you two of my favorites that I use all the time. Well, not so much anymore, but if and when I do a spell for psychic protection and or psychic self-defense, these two I am going to share with you today. So let's go ahead and get started, and let's talk about what is a spell. Now, most of you know me for my ceremonial magic work. I do focus mostly on ritual magic, and that is a little bit different than a everyday spell. For me, a spell within ritual magic, for me, is just much more powerful. You know, you've gone through the whole creating an altered state of consciousness, sacred space. You might be with a group of people. You're all focusing on the same outcome and intent. So I tend to lean toward ritual magic. I'm lucky enough to be able to perform ritual magic with a group of practitioners. Not everybody can do that. So that's when spells or off the cuff, something comes up that you need to do or you need to bring into your life or you need to protect yourself from. That's when a spell would come in. Let me get a sip of water here. So, what's the difference between a spell and ritual magic? I think I kind of just clarified that. I will say that one of my old mentors, Reverend Rel Davis, who was the big pagan back in South Florida back in the 90s, he used to say that spells are the same as prayer. They just, they have a little different intent. I take it a little bit further. And with that being said, One of the phrases that I have come to love is your word is your wand. Matt, and I've spoken about this in my video, So Mote It Be, as I will, so mote it be. I believe that's what it's called. And I explain a little bit further. I'm not going to go into it too deeply here, how every word is released to the universe. So there is power behind your word. Every word that you say. Words can harm, words can hurt. Think of the words you use to speak to yourself in your mind. I think today I posted something about, speak to yourself the way you would speak to somebody who you're in love with. We don't do that very often, do we? But that's a whole nother show. The words in your mind have power. The words you release out into the universe have power. As with everything that we talk about in magic or witchcraft or shamanism or New Age light worker philosophy and metaphysics, we talk about that everything is energy. Every thought, every word, every action creates a ripple that goes out to the edges of the universe and ripples back into your reality, into your consciousness, and into your day-to-day life. To me, a spell is a stronger intention, and with the awareness that that energy, that the words that I am speaking outward or the actions that I'm doing and performing that spell are going to have a more focused effect, and therefore the energy will be that much stronger. We do unconscious spells all day long, and again, I talk about this in So Mote It Be video. Please go check that out. About how, the things that we want, the things that we worry about, the things that we would like to bring into our life, our thoughts are generating this ongoing, power station, this power station of thoughts that are constantly being amplified out into the world. So, think about that when you're doing a spell. Think about how you are a part of the universe. So I'm going to take this back a little bit. Well, maybe not take it back. Let's bring it up in consciousness a little bit first. I usually perform ritual magic and or a spell I'm usually asking for greater clarity, asking for greater wisdom, greater alignment with my higher self. I'm usually asking for prosperity to do the work that I need to do, etc., etc. It's usually not out of fear and or out of need or want. It's usually like for my spiritual path to amplify my spiritual path. So I want to put a precursor and a disclaimer in today's video that for me, with the understanding that I personally have of universe, that we are all of source consciousness, that we are merely a piece of source consciousness incarnate in a human body. Everything within this reality, this 3D, or as many people say now, 3.5 dimensional reality, is merely illusion. So why take it so personally, and why have to do a spell? Why have to do ritual magic? If you're aligning with your higher self, why would you want to do ritual magic? So let's put that disclaimer in, and saying that while I do understand this and I have a deep connection with my higher self and source consciousness, the reality of it is that this is a 3.5D reality. This is a dimension of contrasts, of opposites, of positive and negative, of happy and sad, harm and heal. We have contrasts in this world, and one of the reasons why we are living in this realm is A, to learn more about ourselves and grow more within ourselves, and B, to have fun. And I don't mean that in a carpe diem type way, but to express humanity, to be human, to experience the human condition. I talk about it all the time. Empowering your human experience. There's nothing wrong with empowering your human experience. There's nothing wrong with, I don't know, sex, money, all these things that people are like, oh, it's evil, it's evil. As long as you don't begin to identify it with it and it doesn't begin to rule you, you're fine. You're allowed to enjoy pleasure. There's nothing wrong with pleasure and things that make you happy. So within this 3D and a half consciousness, and if it is an illusion, it is malleable. And that's the point I'm trying to get to here. It's very fluid. It's very, how should we say, changing all the time. It's not this mass of, of finite consciousness. It is an infinite consciousness that's very fluid and changing all the time. So if we're in the 3D illusion, there's nothing wrong with us doing a spell for, okay, in this 3D illusion, my car just broke down. I need $5,000 to fix it. I don't see anything wrong with lighting a green candle, putting the mechanic's bill under the candle, and saying a few words or chanting a few things as you light the candle to bring that energy into paying off that bill. There's my disclaimer of why I would do a spell. We live in a 3D and 3.5D world. So I just gave you a little sample of like a candle magic spell. I normally don't do candle magic. Like I said, I normally do ritual magic, which is very different. But as we're doing this talk, let's think about the energetics of what we're talking about here. And I'm going to try to keep it as simple and not too abstract or too metaphysical. Try to keep it easy to understand, is that through all of this, and this is something that they never teach you in the spell books. This is something you might hear about. So you usually get taught by a mentor how to do these types of things. Spell books to me are entertaining. I've had every witch's spell book, and the secret to spells is to feel them. If you're reading a spell and you have no idea where it came from, you're not putting any feeling into it, you're not going to get the result. If you could get a spell from, I don't know, Aleister Crowley himself, or I don't know, one of the bigger white witches I can't think of right now, you can get a spell from one of the best, and unless you are feeling it, unless you have the focus for the outcome, that spell is not going to work. And with that being said, I personally do not chant in other languages that I don't understand. Stop doing that. If you're reading a spell and you don't know the words you're saying, God only knows, Goddess only knows, gods only know what energy you're aligning with. Stop chanting words that you've never heard of. When I was going through my training, my Golden Dawn training, I had to learn a lot of Hebrew. So yeah, I got to learn Hebrew. I would chant some of the Hebrew terminology within that part, in that ritual or that spell, but I knew what the words meant. Now, as you've heard me say, I always just use the word Aum. If I need to have something that's etheric or whatnot, I will just put the word Aum into it. But unless you know the words, unless you know the language, please do not use them in your spells. Secondly, when it comes to spells, again, another disclaimer. Please remember, harm none, do what you will. Do not impose your will on another human being. If you're going to do a love spell, you do a love spell to bring love to your life. You don't put a love spell on another human being. If you're doing a money spell, you're doing it to bring bring money into your life. You're not trying to take money out of someone else's pocket. Do not impose your will on another human being. Harm none. Do what you will. Now, granted, there are times you will need to defend yourself, and I'm going to talk about that, and I'm actually going to give you a couple spells. I'll get into the reasoning behind that in just a minute. So, in most magical philosophies and whatnot, there's something we call the witch's pyramid. I might have mentioned this in the past. I'm sure it's been a year or so since I've talked about it, But I find it to be a very simple and easy formula for your day-to-day spell. Again, we're kind of using the example of, let's stick with the get the broken car fixed scenario. You need to get your car fixed. Turn to the Witch's Pyramid. So, what is the Witch's Pyramid? I'm not going to go deep into it. I'm going to do a quick overview. To know, to dare, to will, and to be silent. To know, step one. To know what you want. You know you need to get your car fixed so you can go to work. Pretty easy one, right? To dare. To dare means to have the courage to do something about it. And the Witch's Pyramid can be applied to many aspects of your life, but we're just going to use it for a spell. To dare to do something about it. To dare to learn about a way to do a spell to get your car fixed. To open up a book and study it. To set time aside to do a spell. To gather the materials, whether it be a candle or a crystal or, whatever it might be. And to kind of, look at the situation, not being afraid of it. A lot of people, I'm one of these people, if I get overwhelmed with something, let's say I did have a $5,000 car bill, it would probably take me, honestly speaking, it would probably take me 2 or 3 days to wrap my head around it. I would be in shock, I would be angry, and it would take me a moment, a day or two maybe, or even, whatever, take me a moment to grasp it and then have the courage and the clarity to do something. So to dare is also to be discerning, to be clear, to know what you need to do, not to react. To dare is to dare to take action, not dare to be reactive. So we're going to talk about that in just a minute. The next step is to will, capital W-I-L-L. You got your candle, you got your bill, you're ready to do the spell. To will is to invoke the energy, to use that visualization of what the desired outcome is. And to feel that desired outcome with all of your being, with all of your, again, it's not a desperation, it's a knowing. It's like knowing that bill is paid for. It's knowing that money is coming to you without restriction. A little side note here, when you're doing a money spell, don't expect it to come in the form of a raise or the lottery. Don't try to put limitations on how it might come in. Just harm none, do it thou will. You might want to put that as a precursor. May the universe bring this to me, harming none, for the highest good of what I need, if that's what you need to say. But don't do limitations, but know the will of the outcome. Have the focus of the bill is being paid. See yourself paying the bill as you're lighting the candle. Maybe you wrote a little chant and you're reading the chant out loud over the candle. So mote it be, and you're done. You're done. And that is to be silent. You're done. You walk away. You don't pine over it. You don't worry about it. You don't tell your Catholic grandmother what you just did. In other words, leave it be. Leave it be. Let the work be done. The more you pine over it, the more you worry about it, the more negative energy you're sending into the thought form you just created. And we're going to talk about that in just a second. You created a thought form, you've released it. If you're like, oh, but when is it going to come? Oh, I don't believe it's going to come. Oh, what do you think, Kathy, the Catholic? Whatever. I'm making up a name. What do you think? Do you think my spell worked? Oh my God, Jesus is going to send you to hell, blah, 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 blah. You don't want to be sharing this information with everybody. I'm all about being open, but I also am very smart on who am I going to discuss certain things with. So just be silent. To know, to dare, to will, to be silent. You're done. So we were just talking about thought forms. Let's take it a little bit step further. Thought forms. When you're doing a spell, when you're doing a spell, you are creating a thought form, and that thought form is that energy we spoke of at the beginning. Everything is energy, but this thought form has an intention behind it, sending it, out into the universe energetically to be completed in a specific way. You must be able to focus and create a thought form. It's not that hard. All you have to do is think about it. You've created a thought form. You pictured that car paid for. You pictured that bill paid for. You pictured your happy home with your significant other that you haven't met yet. You've just created a thought form. Hold on to that. It's as simple as that. Spells are not difficult. They're not difficult. They just need your emotion, your clarity, and your focus. It's not just saying a few little words here and there and whatnot. So, when do we not do a spell? I think I kind of gave it away a little bit here. When do we not do a spell? We don't do a spell when we're anxious. We don't do a spell when we're worrying. We don't do a spell when we're angry. We don't do a spell until we have centered, grounded, discerned what may or may not happen, and have the ability to focus. If you are shaky, if you're nervous, if you're sad, oh, I want my husband back, my boyfriend, my girlfriend, whatever it might be, you shouldn't be doing a spell anyway. You don't want to impose your will on anybody, but that's usually when people do it, of course. And then what happens? It only gets worse. Any type of insecurity, fear, whatnot is also a thought form. You're releasing that into the spell. Wait a minute. Learn to meditate. Wait a day or two. That's why I always say I like to wait literally a day or two until I decide to take action on something. A lot of my friends that know me know I can disappear for a day or two when something happens because I need to wrap my head around it and see how to move forward and proceed with clarity and discernment. How to do a spell. I think I kind of just gave you a little outline. If I were to give you a generic outline, I'd say, number one, figure, again, using the witch's pyramid, but when it comes to formulating it, if you are into crystals, find a crystal that aligns with that. Hold on to that crystal. If you feel it's going to amplify the energy for, I'm not very good with with crystals, so I might be picking the wrong one. Well, I guess I can use amethyst. Everyone knows amethyst is for third eye awakening. So I'm going to do a spell for greater psychic clarity. I'll hold on to an amethyst. If you're into crystals, if you're into candles, probably use a violet candle. If you're into smells, find what goes with the oil that you want to rub the candle with. It's up to you how much you feel you need to put into it. Now, I personally feel that this is just my preference, because I love ritual magic and pageantry and all that kind of stuff. It's just my style. I like that stuff. I feel the more things we put into it, the more powerful it is, because it's the going to the store and buying that purple candle. You're already putting energy into it. It's the researching the essential oil to rub on that candle. You're adding energy into the spell. It's the researching what crystal to put next to the candle. You're adding energy to put into the spell. So all of these things, if you want to use the astrological hour, the hours have magical significance. The days, moon day, Tuesday, Friday, Frigga's day. We can use the day of the week. All of these things will add a layer of focus and power into it. But you don't need to do that. I'm just saying, that's my preference. And over time, you really won't even need to do that, because having used all of these, I find myself not even using many of these anymore, unless I'm doing ritual magic. But it's good to know, and it's good to practice. All right, so I need to start wrapping up. So I'm going to tell you the two spells that I wanted to share with you. All right. I picked these two because these are the two that you people who watch me and listen to me or follow my pages or whatnot usually ask for these types of spells. And pardon me, And it's usually the one where I'm like, no, don't do that. Please do not put a curse on your mother-in-law. Please do not, put a curse on your boss. And don't put a curse on anybody. A lot of people, let's face it, back to what we said. We live in a 3D world, and there are jerks out there. There are. There are people that are going to harass us. You might have an ex-boyfriend who's a stalker. Had it, been there, dealt with it. You might have, I don't know, just someone who is harassing you. You might have a landlord who's threatening to kick you out because you're 2 days late on the rent. I don't know, whatever it might be. But remember to use this with the highest good and intention. Use your ethics. If you are at the end of your rope, and this is one of the times where I will say that when you've just had it with somebody and they're driving you crazy, this is what this spell is for. Now, this spell is from, I grew up in Miami. So it comes from the Santeria tradition. I forgot who taught me it, but one of my teachers back in the day, if not one of my peers back in the 90s and whatnot, when I was living in Miami and studying all of this. Anyway, we call it the freezer spell. Very simple spell. You're going to start, okay, let's say, ex-boyfriend, stalker, won't leave you alone, keeps harassing you, knocking on your window in the middle of the night, and you're starting to feel a little bit worried he's going to hurt you, and you know he's obsessed with you. And it could be anybody. I'm just giving you an example. Somebody who's obsessed with sending you negative energy, harassing you, whatever it might be. Start off with a mason jar, jelly jar, some type of something that you can put in a freezer that's not going to, preferably not plastic, something natural. You can use black paint, you can use a Sharpie, you can use black nail polish. You're going to paint the outside of this container in black, somehow, some way. I always use a Sharpie or El Sharpo, whatever that thing is, the black marker. You're going to paint the outside of the container with that. You will need a personal item that belonged to them. It could be a photograph. It could be, let's get a little creepy here, nail clippings, hair clippings, whatever it might be. It could be a piece of the pillowcase that they used to sleep on. Something that has their energetic imprint on it. And a picture usually works well. You can probably just go on Google and download one of their pictures, I'm sure, nowadays. You're going to put the picture into the jar. You're going to fill it with water. Now, as you're filling it with water, this is where the focus comes in. This is where the intention comes in. You're going to see them getting colder. You're going to see that water as a buffer between you and them. That the intention is for them to chill out. It's not to hurt them. It's not to even kick them out of your life, but it's for them to chill out. Nobody likes to hear being chilled out, but your intention is for them to chill out, to back off, give them the clarity to see what they're doing. You're going to put the lid on and you're going to put it in the freezer. Every day you're going to do the same thing. As it freezes, you're going to touch it and you're just going to say the words. I hope you're chilling out. I hope you're chilling out with love. With love. Not with anger. You better chill out. Because that's all going to come back to you. With love, say, I'm sorry you're feeling like this. I hope you're chilling out. So mote it be. You will notice probably within 72 hours. And it's different for everybody. I'm not going to make any claims here. It's different for everybody. For me, in my experience, within 48 to 72 hours, they have calmed down. And actually, they might start being nicer and wanting to talk and work things out appropriately and with a normal, mature way of acting with another human being. But it's the freezer spell. A jar, a personal item, water, a lid. Stick it in with the intention of chill out with love. And you do need to take it out. You will need to take it out. once you see things have started to chill, remember energy has a different timeline than us. So once that ripple is going and you see that you're starting to get a result, you can go ahead and take it out. I would just dump everything out in the backyard, throw it into, open the lid, let the poor energy out of the person, dump the water in the backyard, and you could even wash out the lid and reuse it for something else, a jelly or a tea or something. So that is the freezer spell. Now, my other spell is in the use of thought forms like we were talking about. Now this I use when I'm worried. For me, this is psychic self-defense against my own self. I have been known to be my own worst enemy. I have not always been this mature and healthy. In my youth, I was a bit of a crazy person. I'm sure we all were. Anyway, so I had to learn how to become my own psychic self-defense. And again, I don't remember. I remember I learned it in Miami, but this is something that you will do if you are someone who suffers from anxiety, suffers from worrying too much, suffers from thinking bad things about other people. So first of all, you have to be mature enough to know, okay, well, here comes that bad thought. I'm going to start spinning. I'm going to start going out of control. You got to be able to catch that. Another example is, I don't know, my mother-in-law, I want to kill her. Da, da, da. When you start thinking like that, remember, you're releasing energy. You don't want that energy out in the world. You need to be able to catch your thoughts. So this is for someone who is able to catch your thoughts and who can also create a thought form. I don't know how many of you, geez, I haven't done a video in like 10 years. Hopefully I'll be teaching a class at grade school on it. Maybe they'll give me that class. The course is there, but I'm not teaching it yet, but I would like to, if anybody's watching. Have any of you done the lesser banishing ritual of the pentagram? I've taught it a couple times on my YouTube channel. Maybe you've heard it. Within the lesser banishing ritual of the pentagram, there is a visualization of drawing a blue flame pentagram. I don't have room to wave my arms here. I'll knock the microphone over, but basically you're in the lesser banishing ritual of the pentagram. You're extending your right arm out and you're shooting a blue flame from your finger, visualizing a blue flame coming from your finger, and you're drawing an earth pentagram starting at the bottom left, going up to the top, down to the bottom right, and then, closing it down again at the bottom left. That's an earth pentagram. In this particular case, once you draw the blue flaming pentagram and you see the blue flaming pentagram, you shoot it toward the edge of the space that you're cleansing. To me, the LBRP is like bleaching your house, with energy, like zilch, zero, nada, nothing good, nothing bad. You're bleaching the energy. I try not to do it unless I really need to do some high magic work. But anyway, back to what I'm talking about. This spell utilizes the shooting of a pentagram. So let's say you just got some bad news. And okay, you're sulking in it, your girlfriend just broke up with you, you just lost your job, but you have a tendency to spin. You have a tendency to, do self-destructive behaviors like drink too much or, do drugs or go out and have sex with way too many strangers at once or something, whatever is harmful to you. Sometimes that's not harmful to people. You feel that you're going to begin to spin out. What you need to do, what I'd like you to do with what I do, to correct my language here, what I do is I do draw that pentagram in my mind. I close my eyes and I see the thought. Remember, everything is a thought form. And remember, I said catching that thought before it takes grasp of your consciousness stream. You know how it is when you have anxiety. It's like a broken record. That same thing spinning over and over. It's like a da-da-da. you know, you're broke, you're broke, you're broke. You know, he's cheating, he's cheating, he's cheating. It's a broken record. You're catching it as you feel it coming. You draw that blue pentagram in your mind and you shoot it at that thought form that's heading towards you, and you watch it explode. So do it with me. Take a moment. Imagine this black, I'll share with you what I see. Imagine like a black goo inching its way toward your face. And it's going to go in your brain, and you know it's going to go in your brain. It's going to take over your thoughts. But you're stopping it, 3 feet away from you. And in your mind, you draw this bright blue fire pentagram, and you shoot it right toward the center, and the black blob explodes. The black blob, the thought form, is gone. It is gone. Everything is energy. It all goes back to everything is energy. Every intention is energy. Every thought is energy. Every word is energy. If you can catch that energy as it's moving toward you and banish it, explode it, it will not have power over you unless you give it, unless you let it. So there we go. My pentagram blowing up thought forms method of psychic self-defense against our own self. And the freezer spell to cool, chill people out that need to be chilled out, that are harming you and disrupting your life and raising hell around you and making you very unhappy. You have the right to protect your happiness. Harm none. Do what you will. Anyway, so I hope you like this funky background. I'll be able to change it whenever I want. Again, this is the first time I use this background thing, so I noticed the outline thing needs to be worked on. I just turned it on and didn't really bother going into all the settings and stuff. I did, but not enough, obviously. Anyway, I love you guys. I will not be doing a show next week. I do have a huge event coming up here in Roanoke that I'm a big part of. It's an annual fundraiser for the Diversity Center. And it's on Sunday night, which means I will be off on Monday, which means I'll be a day behind on all of my other projects. So I need to skip next week, but I will be back the following week. No, I'll be back for New Year's Eve. And we are going to do a New Year's Eve meditation and intention. I always do something on New Year's Eve, or I used to. We'll see how long. I might just hang out and just chat with everybody. I don't know. But I definitely will be back for New Year's Eve. I will not be around the next couple of weeks because of the holidays and all the events and stuff. Please, if you have not yet checked out my website, I just had it upgraded. It's pretty freaking awesome. BernardAlvarez.com as well. If you have not, if you like what I'm doing and you are willing to support this work, I don't make money off these videos or anything. The thing that any money I make off goes right back into, buying equipment and all the electronic stuff. But anyway, if you'd like to become a patron, please go to patreon.com. I believe it's /Bernard Alvarez. Anyway, if you go on my website or just look for Bernard on Patreon, you'll find me. You can become a patron for $2 a month. And with that, you get a free copy of my book and a bunch of other classes that are not available. And I am going to be moving more toward like premium content because I do need to find a way to be able to pay for this, which it's not right now. But anyway, I love the work that I do. I believe it's very important, and I believe it needs to be made available to as many people as possible. So it is because of my patrons that I can continue to do this, and I thank you. The holidays are here. Go ahead and pick up my book of one at Amazon. The 4th edition is out. I designed the book cover myself. It's really awesome. And then lastly, I just wanted to let you know that, yes, I am teaching at the Gray School of Witchcraft and Wizardry. You can go to grayschool.com. That's Grey School. I am in the ceremonial magic department, teaching several classes there. So why don't you come check it out? If you want to get a formal training in magic, that's the place to go. I love you. Have a very happy Yule, blessed holiday, whatever you celebrate. Blessed winter solstice. I love you. Have a great couple weeks and enjoy this season. Bye-bye.